Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel for this episode 1 of the Own the Map challenge on Montieth, Iowa. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly. A mod map by DR Modding, currently a PC only map, and the version we're playing on will definitely stay that way because we're playing on the row crop ready version. We're going to give that a try. So this first segment here is just going to be about setup. It's not going to be a role play, but it's going to be storyline based, very similar to what was it, St. Edward, Nebraska. If you watched that one on FS22 that I had started, really liked the start of that storyline. So I'm going to actually kind of restart that on here, or a very similar storyline anyway. As I said, we're starting from, I guess you more traditionally calling starting from scratch, and we're going to go and try and own the entire map. Let's go in and look, and I will confirm to you that we own nothing. And so see, no land, and some of these fields are, pretty dear. 2.5 million, another 2.5 million. A poultry 1.8. What's this sucker here? Nine, basically a billion. Oh, I didn't notice. What's this little guy up here? Oh, 500 grand. So these are the cheaper fields as part of the start farm. What's that one? 219, 128. I think you get the idea. Pretty pricey. Now, in the original version of this map that I first started playing, this area here south of the river was purchasable. As you can see in this version, it is not. Now, I have seen requests go to the map maker by others to make it as a purchasable area, and I hope he does do an update that allows that. Hopefully, it wouldn't require a new save, because I have done some setup to potentially utilize some of that space. I had some plans for it. So hopefully that'll come to pass, or I may have just wasted my time. We'll see. But in any event, if we can't purchase it, the win will be we need to have $20 million, so we could purchase it if it was available. That's what the end goal is. If we come down here and look in the vehicle tab, you can see nothing there. If we go in and look at settings, if you follow my channel at all, this won't be any surprises. Pretty much standard fare. We are going to play on hard. Obviously, we'll be running it 3 times when we get going. Traffic should be on. Seasonal growth is going to be on. 4-day months we're going to run. Crop destruction on. I just had that turned off for setup. Basically, all the goodies turned on. Uh, Destruction turned on. Dirt and fuel at normal, and the workers can't do buy anything. I have a maintenance and painting, or just basically a maintenance mod. I've got the maintenance cost down at 25%, the interval down at 50 of base game. So we're going to see how that runs. I haven't played with this a lot. I used it. I don't know if it was exactly the same mod, very, very similar anyways, in FS22 a bit. So it just makes, basically you can keep your tractors a lot longer, put a lot of hours on them, and they don't break the bank. So that's it for general settings. So we can take loans out. I'm thinking the one that making it so we can only take bank loans out for infrastructure, land, buildings, animal pens if we want, those kinds of things. Productions would be another example. But for vehicles, we either have to use leasing and or I put a finance mod in for vehicles. So the rule is going to be we can lease and or finance new vehicles, but used vehicles we can only finance used or old equipment. We can only lease newer equipment. So if we're going to buy a 20-year-old tractor, for example, leasing's not an option for us. So contracts we're going to do, I have no contract boosts on. Now, the contracts are pretty valuable on here. They take a while to do, but when I played it just for fun, I did have the contract boost on, only had it up to 10%. I didn't have a huge boost on it, but it also allows you to pick up straw and that sort of thing. So I've taken that mod off. So hopefully the contracts will still come with pretty good frequency, and the value isn't nerfed too much. It shouldn't be. but it was because of the high value. Like I was getting contracts worth $100,000. Well, once I mean they would take you at all day or maybe 2 days to do, but it made it fairly easy to advance. So that's why I made it a little harder on myself as far as purchasing vehicles and that. So hopefully we don't coast through. Okay, so I think that is everything as far as setup goes. And so what I'm going to do is there is, like I said, going to be a bit of a storyline. I'm going to advance time until some contracts start coming in because I think when I looked last time there was really, yeah, just dead wood. We're not going to be able to afford to go and buy a plethora of vehicle on spec, and we can't use other farmers' vehicles as a rule to do contracts with, and that's part of the storyline which I'll explain in the next segment. So I'm going to put time ahead and see what kind of contracts come in. I've got my fingers crossed for a couple potential candidates, but we'll see how it goes. But that's what I'm going to do. So we'll scoot time ahead, and when we get some idea which direction we're going to be heading here, I will bring you back in. So we'll see you in a little bit and we'll get started in earnest. Hello. Yeah, welcome back. It's just after 10 o'clock that same day. Uh, I am here with my family, my wife, and nearly two adult children. And we're checking out this property that was recommended to me by a college buddy, Matt. He happens to own a large implement dealership in the town near here. And so he's got his ear to the ground regarding properties that are available for sale. And this is for sale, but he did say that he's talked to the owners and they would be willing to rent it. And that's where my interest lies. Although the sale price is pretty decent from what I can see so far, they're only asking like 70,000, but it has been sitting empty for quite a while, and he said they would be willing to rent it. So my wife and kids are in the house checking it out, but my interest lies more out here with the outbuildings. So I'm out here with you guys. So let's go and check it out. Now we have a garage. Oh, the door wasn't locked. Oh yeah, it looks like nice sturdy garage. Looks like it could use a coat of paint. Although don't really have much use for a garage. Don't even have a vehicle right now. Matt actually dropped us off. He's got some business at the local farmers market, and he's going to come back and pick us up in a little bit. But got the garage. We've got an older barn. Again, looks like it could use a little paint. Let's check it out. See if the door's open. Yep. Oh, looks like it's dry in here. Roof looks like it's in pretty decent shape. Yeah, we could make use of this. Now, this whole area used to be just one large operating farm, and this was the home yard. But over the years, it's been split up and bought by different farms, none of them local. And that's where Matt says the opportunity lies. Oh, look, we got a diesel tank here. Give it a wrap. Oh, it's empty. No surprise there. Yeah, he said because if there was someone local that had their own equipment, they would likely hire it out. But he says there isn't much opportunity if they've got to bring their own equipment in. He says as far as he knows, they're all fairly large operations and got well staffed. He said there's probably not much opportunity. If they're going to bring their own equipment in, they'll just bring their own workers in. But if there's someone here local, well then he thinks there's some business to be had. Now this is a pretty nice place. I mean, obviously none of the crop field comes with it. It's just the yard, but it's picturesque. And yeah, I mean, couldn't do much with it. I suppose there's enough room back here. You could put in a small chicken coop or something, but that'd be about the extent of it. Now I have to kind of rely on Matt for this because although I was born and went to school here, obviously, I haven't lived in here for quite a while. I went to Australia after college on a trip, and met my wife, and we obviously got married there and had our kids there. And we've decided to move back after several years. So I'm kind of out of touch with what's going on here in America. But Matt, like I said, he should be well versed, seeing as the industry he's involved in. So yeah, as long as my wife is happy with the house, I think we'll go ahead with this. I don't know if I mentioned it's $2,000 a month, and they want 3 months in advance, so that's $6,000. Now, the only thing we came to this country with was a good credit rating, and I talked to the local bank where I have a line of credit established and had them wire me $50,000 to our account. And the reason I did that is because I needed to have some money in order to make an informed decision regarding this tough decision that we need to make. So let's take a look at that. So, first of it all stems around the contract that became available, the only one so far, fertilizing on field 10. Pretty big field, but it's a pretty nice contract, 30 grand. But like I said, we need to have our own equipment to do it. If the farmer's got to bring in his own equipment, he's just going to do it himself. All right. So that's one piece of the puzzle. Now, because Ben is in the know around these parts, he was able to share with me some information regarding what's going on with various field states here. And if we take a look at fertilizing, we can see that there is only one field in the area that needs fertilizing. So that means if we get set up and do this contract, that'll be the only fertilizing contract. So that doesn't bode real well. Now, when I started on this map before, what I ended up with is a whole bunch of baling and plowing contracts I have to start. And that's what I was hoping for. Now, if we turn that off and we put needs plowing on, we can see every field needs plowing but the one that needs fertilizer. So, okay, well, there may be some potential there, but if we go over here and see where what the growth state is, you can see they're all, I'd say about halfway through. So it's going to be a while before any plowing and or baling is required, I'm thinking. So that doesn't bode real well. If we take a look, now the other piece of this puzzle here is um, used equipment. Look what's in used equipment here. We got ourselves a pretty nice tractor that's half price. Now I'm going to go over some numbers with you. I'm not going to do this every time, but I just want to give you kind of some background into kind of the thought process that has to go on here when we're making these decisions. Because like I said, I haven't made it easy on myself. So if we go in here and look at this tractor, and I'm going to configure it the way I would like to have it, like so. So there it is, a Warrior in matte black, one of my favorite tractors in FS22 for sure. The buy price, 145,000 for a 287 horsepower tractor. Now, you might be thinking, well, that's a pretty good sized tractor. Yeah, it is on a lot of maps, but on this map, it it would be medium at best because of the size of the fields. Now, the tractor I was planning on starting with originally was a John Deere 7030, which I think is about a 20-year-old or 15-year-old John Deere, something like that. It's 225 horsepower. And if we were to pick that up, well, so-called not in the used market, it'd still be considered a used tractor that age. Anyways, it'd be 125,000. So it's only 20,000 more for this tractor, and it is like 60 horsepower more. So I mean, there's definitely an advantage to it. Now, our only option for picking this tractor up, seeing as we don't have the money and it's used, we can't lease it, is to finance it. That's that mod I was telling you about earlier. So if we look at what that is, 6 months, uh, only 2% interest is pretty attractive, but it's $24,000 a month, almost 25. No, that's a definite no-go. 1 year, 12,700. Well, now, if we knew how the contracts were going to go and had some sense, that might not be so bad because that's only a 5% rate. But I think we'd be forced to go over 2 years at 10% at $6,700 a month in round numbers. Eee. Okay, so let's go back and let's look at what if we were to take this same tractor and lease it. There it is there. We'll get a configure. I'll configure it exactly the same way. So it's a apples to apples comparison here. So there it is. So the new price, 278,000. Okay. Uh, if we were to lease this, then that would cost us initially 14,000 the first month. Every month after that, we'd have a base cost of 2785. It's called 2,800 bucks. But it's this number here that really hurts. Nearly $6,000 an hour. So if we're going to finance it for $7,000 a month, if we even use it 1 hour in a month, if we were going to lease it, we're coming out behind. So leasing is a good idea if you're not going to put a lot of hours on it. But financing, that finance rate, although, if you don't use the tractor at all in a particular month, which looks like it could happen to us, if we were leasing it, yeah, only going to cost us 2,700 bucks. That's a lot easier to swallow than 7,000. But then when we come to use it, if we say get a plowing contract in a couple months, those plowing contracts can easily, when it's a 9 meter plow, they were taking like game hours of 4 to 6 hours or more. You can see 6 hours at 6,000 an hour is $36,000. You just get killed leasing it, if that makes sense. So that's the kind of thing we got to look at. First, first glance, it may look, oh man, we should just go lease a new one. Oh no, that would be a very bad idea potentially. On something you're not going to use a whole lot, yeah. If you're going to use the kind of hours we're going to put on doing these fields, no, not a good idea at all. So, but there's more to this used equipment story here because there is this fertilizer spreader that's like 67% off. It does 42 meters, just fertilizer, no lime. And initially he goes, well, why don't we just buy that? Because we'd have the money, because we can't, against the rules. So we'd have to finance that. So if we go in and look at that, financing that would be over that same 2 year period, another 1,000 a month, which, oh, we definitely don't want to confirm that. So we'd be committing to $7,000 a month. We'd get a $30,000 contract. We'd have to buy fertilizer out of that. Hard to say how much that would be. Probably $6,000. So, I mean, it would cover a few months of inactivity for sure. And then we'd have the tractor. But like I said, I'm just a little bit nervous by the look of that crop map of what contracts might come up or might not come up. Now, one thing about it, we can sell that financed equipment. All I did is I didn't look at the value. I'm sure we're going to take a hit, but we could get out of it and we could borrow more money. But I am inclined to go with it. But like I said, I just wanted to go over those numbers with you so uh, when you see all this happen, you don't go, hey, Farmer Murphy, are you out of your freaking mind? Yeah, potentially. I did kind of wanted to set this up so there was the potential for failure. It's not a guaranteed to just cruise on into victory. Things could go very wrong, and we're off to a kind of a rocky start, I'd say. But I am going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to lease that tractor. Or finance the tractor. I'm going to finance the fertilizer spreader. The other thing I didn't share with you is we are going to have to do the repairs on those items because I have Oh, I can't remember the name of the mod now. If anybody really wants to know, it's a maintenance one. Anyway, if you don't repair, you're subject to breakdowns. Um, tractors not starting. Oh shoot, sorry, just it escapes me the name of it. So with it is imperative we do the repairs on it too. So that's a factor that we have to take into account. But I'm going to take the plunge because I think the 30 grand will cover us for a couple months of dead contracts. But then if we don't get some contracts in, we're going to be in real trouble, or we're going to have to go and borrow more money for throw good money after bad, I guess. So, anyways, I'm going to get that set up, and I will bring you back in just a minute, and I'll have a decision then too from my wife whether she approves of us putting 3 months rent into this place. So I will catch up with you in a little bit. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. It's been about almost 2.5 hours since we were together last. I am down here at the farmer's market. This is where our equipment was delivered to, and I'll show you where we're at on the map here. The farmer's market is the only kind of commercial spot on the map. And so therefore the closest to where we're looking at renting, but we're right here, pretty much center of the map on the east edge, just a little north of center. Now the town that Matt has his dealership in and where he lives is just further east down this main highway. And where we're looking at renting is right up here, kind of in the northwest corner. But Matt dropped me off here and took the wife and kids with him into town. They're going to finalize the arrangements for getting the house. And he had the equipment set here that we picked out of the list online. Now, the fertilizer spreader and the tractor we talked about, but this showed up in the used list, this plow here. Now, I almost bought it outright because it was only like $8,000. It was 55% off, I believe it was. Then I realized that went against one of the rules I'd set. So it is financed, but over a pretty short term because compared to the tractor and the fertilizer spreader, because it's not worth a lot of money. Now you'll notice it looks like it's in just new condition. And if we jump in the tractor here, and we might as well get ready to head down the road for that matter. But if I turn the HUD on, it's a little hard to see against that display. Let's swing it over here. I'll swing right around there. You can see against the background of the asphalt there a little better. Our repair meter, where the wrench is there, as spanner as some would say, is at 100%. Now I made no repairs to this vehicle. Matter of fact, there is no repair shop here. So I'm thinking that was the advanced maintenance mod that did that brought the vehicles out fully repaired and repainted. Because the plow, when I looked at it in the store, it had a number of hours on it. It definitely didn't look in like new condition. Well, that's getting to be a little annoying. My recording stopped again. So that's the third time. Recently I've had some really weird things happening. Um, I want to say since 1.5, but no, the recording issue definitely was before that as well. But when I first started recording on here, all through FS22, I had no problems. And for the first while in 25, no issues. But I am getting a little, like you'd almost say it was like if you weren't watching for it, you might miss it. But it is actually missing frames and freezing frames in the recording, and it's doing it out of sync with the audio as well, so it's a real pain to put back together because I'm getting these holes happening in video and the two audio tracks but at different times, so I have to patch it all together, and sometimes I'm actually dropping a frame or two in the recording. If it's freezing, it's real easy because I can edit frame by frame. It's real easy to get rid of that. But when it actually misses recording a frame, well, and there's not much I can do. But that's new. That just started happening, And I've even turned my graphics settings down even further because I thought maybe it was the card, but there's just no way. I'm running under 50% on my graphics card, uh, under 15% on my CPU, and using only 40% of my RAM. So there's just absolutely no way I should be having any kind of lag issues or any kind of resource issues. But sorry, get back to where we're at. We're going to put steering assist on here. And we're going to jump out of cab for this. Yeah, so it's one thing if I catch it and notice that the recording stops, but if I don't catch it, that's another issue altogether, and that's happened once. So we are going to use steering assist on here, but I know from experience that this edge here is actually broken up. It's not real smooth, so we're just going to follow the line. We're not actually going to use it. We'll just drive along the line because kept dropping the line out in previous attempts at this recording. So we'll just do this first one kind of manually. Now, I don't know if I ever finished up on the whole maintenance thing. So anyways, can't remember where I was, so I kind of start over. I think that advanced maintenance mod is about the only mod I have installed on this Let's Play that wasn't on the other ones, or the other one I should say that I did, and I wasn't having that issue. I mean, equipment came out and needed repair or repainted, so I think it's resetting it to a fresh start. And then, like I said, if you don't keep up your maintenance, you're going to start to have problems. So I'm not quite sure how I feel about that, but we'll leave it in for now. Kind of just see how things go. Now I put 3,000 liters of fertilizer in. I'm not sure if that's going to be enough to do this field, but I didn't really want to have any left over, or as little as possible anyways. And an advantage to the Deutz-Fahr, it does have a pretty good road speed, and as you saw, we're not that far away, so we can run back and get some more if we need to. But I promised a little bit more of background, how we ended up here in America with basically no money. As I said earlier, I met my wife on a trip after college when I went to Australia, and her family are big farmers there, and we had both had in mind a agricultural career. So they helped us get established and we started farming. Now, when you're young, sometimes you don't pay attention to the finer details or necessarily heed all the advice you're given. And that was the case with us. And we didn't read all the fine print on our insurance. And as bad luck would have it, we got caught up in some wildfires and got burnt out. And because our insurance wasn't quite as good as it should have been, like I said, we didn't pay attention to the finer details, we had to start over, and we had to start over in the hole. But with the help of Rebecca's parents, we were able to get started again. This time, though, we made sure we had the right insurance. But several years later, as bad luck would have it, we got burnt out again. And we were going to be forced to start over once more. We had just nicely got ourselves dug out of the hole, got our parents paid back, and so insurance did cover all the loss, but basically we were left with very little. So we decided if we were going to start over, we were going to try a new location. And so we came back to my stomping grounds here to America to start out yet again. Luckily for us, our kids are very interested in the farming business and are willing and able to help. They're old enough, they can be a big asset on the farm. And it's for that reason that I have the uh, worker fees turned off. So we have no worker fees right now, and that's going to hold true for up to 4 workers because there's 4 of us in our family. But after that, when we need more help on the farm, which we undoubtedly will, I have another plan that I will unveil at that time. But that explains why you won't see any worker fees, because it's going to be our family doing all the work initially. Actually, this down this edge was a straight edge. We could have used steering assist on that one, and we will use it on this one here. There's no reason not to use it. It was just that that westerly edge was kind of broken up into, it wasn't set up as a curve, but a bunch of short lines, and they were a bit of a nuisance to deal with. Now there are a lot of weeds in this field, so I'm wondering if we're going to get a weeding. Well, actually, they're too big. I guess it would be a hoeing contract. That would be all right because there's a hoe that's not too expensive. It's not really big, but would get the job done. I I know our tractor would handle it. Now let's actually go down. Whoops, there's some trees for you. Let's go down to this other edge here because it's straight and we'll work our way this direction. Be the easier way to go. Now, that's probably that line there, actually, isn't it? Going to be. Oh, shoot. And it grabbed that one, of course, because I guess probably is facing more of that direction. That's the one I want. There we go. I was hoping before I started this, the lease to own mod would be out. Because that would be, for something like that hoe, I don't quote me on it, but I think it's around 50,000. And probably 1 or 2 of these fields, you would earn enough to pay it off. I guess we could do our own lease to own thing, but on the financing side, there is, well, I guess we could technically do the same thing on that side of the line too, on the financing. Um, Basically, I wonder if there's anywhere that shows. We'd have to look to see if there's anywhere it shows what's owing on the loan. I don't think it does. So that would be a little trickier. On the leasing side, we can go and look and see how much we've spent on leasing costs on a piece of equipment, and then just go and replace that with a new piece and recover 90% of what we put into the lease. That's essentially what the lease to own does, only you get to keep whatever piece of equipment you had on lease. If you do it yourself, you have to return the leased item and replace it with a new one. But on the financing one, we don't get any kind of report for that, what we've paid. So yeah, you're pretty much stuck now. You can sell a finance vehicle, but I've never actually tried doing that to see what the ramifications are against the the loan. The loan still keeps coming out even though you've sold the vehicle off. I guess I should have mucked around with that a little bit, but well, we'll figure it out as we go. It's the Farmer Murphy way. Oops, because I didn't need to stop altogether. One nice thing about these fertilizing contracts, they're done pretty quick. Unlike like I said, I have a lot of experience with the plowing ones. They're extremely lucrative, but they take a long time. Even with that 9-meter plow. On a field this size, it takes several in-game hours and a few real-life hours to do. When we get down to the end here, a little time has passed in game since I've checked the contracts. We'll give the contracts a check again and see. I'm kind of thinking we might be done for the today and this month as far as contracts go with this one fertilizing contract. And that unfortunately is going to be our livelihood for the next little while. Because we certainly can't afford any property to do any logging to generate money, so contract is about our only option. Oh, and we are going to run out of fertilizer. We are definitely going to need to get more. So we are going to make it to the end of the rope. Boy, it'd be nice if we could. It's going to be close. Oh, that's... You know what? I think we made it. Yep. With 52 liters to spare. So we're at 67%. So we're going to need probably a couple more bags of fertilizer. I'm going to say would do it. We can go back in cap now. But you know what? I'll bet you we have used up all the time we have for this episode. I didn't want it to all be just set up and that sort of thing, so I'm glad we got some farming in. But before we sign off here, let's take a look and see what there is, if any other contracts have come up. No, sir. Like, that's interesting. There's a Deadwood contract. Boy, how many trees is looking? 5 trees. And the only place it could possibly be is in that little sliver there. The other one. So I'll see this one here. There's a bigger area. Oh, and that one. Lots. But I think I will leave you there because I'm sure that's used up the rest of our allotted time here. Just throw the beacons on, really, when I'm driving down the road. I will get this fertilized, and then we will likely not see you till next month, and we'll be all moved into our new place, and we'll see what we've got available and what we can do from there. So if you're still with me, I really appreciate you watching. If you haven't already, I encourage you to hit that like and subscribe button. And if you want to see when other content like this lands, hit that old notification bell. But from here in Iowa, it is Farmer Murphy signing off.